Hey YouTube, Wolfforce here. You're gonna probably hear this phrase a lot, but I was over on TikTok and I made a video on there about why animals aren't skinned alive, and I still got people arguing me at this, we're gonna talk about it. So to cover why animals aren't skinned alive, let's first talk about why they are skinned alive. Here's all the reasons an animal would be skinned alive. That's right, there's no good reason to skin an animal alive, period. If you are torturing an animal like this and doing something so cruel, that means that you probably have some very serious unresolved mental issues, some mental health problems that you need a professional to come help you with. Even like a sadist has their limits and understands consent, which animals cannot consent. Nevertheless, would a sadist want to skin an animal alive and watch them writhe in pain like that? So, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if this comes off as cruel or anything. I'm someone who suffers from depression, so I understand that mental health is a touchy subject, but literally the only thing I can think of is you just have something wrong in your mind that you need to get professional help for. And torturing animals, that ain't it, man. The only other thing I can think of, if I try to really twist my brain and think of any possible reason, is you couldn't afford to kill the animal that you somehow were able to afford to raise. In which case, a fur farm, they're not worried about the skull and the head. They usually don't sell the bones in the first place for fur farms, and the face of the animal isn't worth much. Bullets don't cost that much. Bullets are pretty cheap. It does not take much effort to put a bullet into an animal's head. So for smaller animals too, you can even get away with just slitting their throats. You want to render them unconscious first, but you can slit a throat. You can break necks. When I raised meat rabbits, I would rely on a combination of breaking their neck and then following it by throat slitting. Very quick, takes seconds, and costs me no money once I, owned a knife. And for me, I used a hopper popper. It's a hanger that you pop their necks in, but you can do it by hand. You can use a broomstick even, which most people have. So even trying to say that argument, it's a really weak argument. Yeah, there's a comprehensive list of all the reasons you would do it. There's no good reason to do it. So that's why you would skin an animal alive. Now let's look at why you wouldn't skin an animal alive. First off, if it is the money thing, there are so many better ways to get your money and get a lot of money. People aren't going to like this, but if you support a rescue that saved animals from fur farms, there's a very good chance that they paid for those animals and they essentially bought it off the fur farm. I know people don't want to hear this and don't want to think about that, but I've seen fur farms that I've actually purchased from before do this, and where they sold their animals off to a rescue. They're like, oh yeah, we can't care for these ones. Do you guys want them? They're really cute. So you can sell a baby animal to, go be sold as a pet too. That's another thing. If you support especially foxes or minks, if you support the exotic pet trade, you've probably inadvertently also supported a fur farm. Whether you bought directly from them or not, you probably did support them at some point. Especially like foxes, you get all those fun colors, like marbles and everything, Georgia whites, whatever else. Where do you think those came from? Those colors came from because of fur farming. They did not come out of the pet trade itself. So yeah, nobody likes to think about that. We don't want to acknowledge that truth, but it's the same way that the black market for other exotics like tigers and such, you support a very bad industry to get those animals. So you can sell them a lot more as a pet and then not spend the money raising them than you would just torturing them to death. So number one is you could save money. 2, animal cruelty laws. Pretty much everywhere in the world where there's fur farms, there's also animal cruelty laws. The only exception is China, which I know is a big one, but the only animal related laws I could find would be ones that would affect people. So don't destroy an animal that would affect somebody else's business, kind of a thing. which would be great to change, and I would love to see that change in my lifetime. I would love to see China get some animal welfare laws, and I know I'm not alone in that. But everywhere else in the world, if you're cruel to an animal, you're going to have your business shut down, which, you know, sucks to be you. You're probably going to pay fines. You're probably going to have your animals taken away from you and, you know, not be able to do this again in the future. And there's even a chance you can go to jail. So, do you want to spend the 2 seconds killing an animal, or do you want to potentially lose your livelihood, your money, and your freedom? Your call. Pretty big decision. And like, even if somehow you evaded the law but word got out, your reputation would also be shot. So even if you were allowed to have those animals again, nobody's gonna want to do business with you. No one wants to do business with an abuser. And people who do, they've got their own problems too, I guess. I don't know. If I found out a fur farm was doing this, I would never buy from them ever again. And I do buy fur farmed animals, so, you know, putting that out there. It's my personal ethics. You have yours, I have mine. All right. Number 3. You have a heart and or soul, and you care about these animals. It's very easy for people to think that just because you raise an animal to be killed that you don't care about that animal. Couldn't be further from the truth. You know, I raised, again, meet rabbits. I raised rabbits that from birth to death, I took care of them every single day of their lives, and then they died at my hands. That doesn't mean I didn't care about them, okay? Farmers do care about their animals. You don't get an animal that you are going to spend every single day taking care of because you hate that animal. Usually you love those animals. I follow One Fur Farm on Facebook, and just today they posted a video where they're acclimating one of their foxes who is not hand raised by sitting in the cage with the foxes and just letting the fox come up and sniff them and, you know, maybe chew on their shoe a little, boop them, whatever. They're just sitting there with the fox, just so the fox can get used to them. They have videos of them playing with their foxes, the dogs playing with their foxes. All the foxes have names, and that's not unusual. On a larger scale operation, they probably won't get that in depth, but they care about their animals. It's hard not to fall in love with a cute, fuzzy animal, all right? So, and even if you don't like the animals, when I worked for a biomedical research facility, we worked with monkeys. I'll be honest with you, monkeys are my least favorite animals. That still doesn't mean I want to see any of them suffer. I took care of them every single day because even though they're not my favorite animal, they're my least favorite, I still care about them. I still want them to be okay. I still loved giving them enrichment. I love seeing them play. I love seeing them get excited and happy about things. You know, I was there every day to take care of them because I cared. So people have hearts. That's one thing that makes humans awesome, is we care about other animals. We are social animals who are able to connect with other species. That's cool. It's great. Keep that up. Number 4, if you get good at skinning an animal, it's going to become like almost second nature to you. You're going to understand how to go through it, and you're going to have a rhythm down. If you now throw in that process, but you add in an animal writhing around trying to bite you and attack you, it's going to take you longer. If you've got 20 foxes you need to skin that day, and now you've got to fight every one of them in addition to skinning them, it's going to be a pain in your butt. It's going to take longer, which is going to potentially cost you money if it's your fur farm and you have to get things done at a certain time. You have to get this done this week, have to get them out the door. You want to get them all to the tannery, whatever. It makes no sense for you to do something that's going to take longer. It's going to make the process take substantially longer. It's going to be a lot more difficult for you. So time is money, and you don't want to spend all day doing that, and it's going to be exhausting, okay? Like, butchering animals and skinning them does take energy, and now you're exerting even more energy. You know, you might build stamina, but everyone's got a limit. Number 5, you're also going to get worse quality pelts. So there's 3 main things. You're going to have more tears, you're going to have more bruising, and you're going to have more shedding. Because first, if you have an animal who's squirming around, you're probably going to have accidental cuts in the pelt. The more cuts you have in the skin, the harder it's going to be to tan it, the more it's going to need to be sewn up. And if it has too many, it's not going to be considered usable. Nobody's going to want to work with that skin. Especially in like the garment industry, they already have to do a lot of sewing. They don't want to do more. And when it comes to tanning, if there's tears in the pelt, that can be worsened during the tanning process, and it might even completely ruin the pelt. And if you have ruined pelts, nobody's going to pay for those. They're going to go for the ones that don't have holes in them. Also, bruising. Bruising's a big thing. So if you are cutting the skin off of something, it's going to bruise the areas around it. And if you have bruised skin, the fur is going to slip. The fur is going to fall out. Because that just happens with bruised skin. I don't know the I don't know the reason why. I'm not scientifically inclined enough to tell you, but I saw this with my rabbits because I would use cervical dislocation. I would break the necks. That would cause a lot of bruising on the back of the neck, and the fur would just pull right out, which was a bummer because then my pelts weren't very good for taxidermy after all. But yeah, so if the fur falls out, the whole product is your fur. There goes that. So much for that money. And the third thing is shedding. So a stressed animal, I'm not sure if you've noticed, they shed a lot. And they're going to shed in chunks. If you've ever had a pet freaking out, you'll notice they start losing a lot of fur. If you have a pet shedding chunks, if you have not a pet, but a fur farmed animal shedding chunks, what's that going to do to the pelt? Is that going to be a prime winter pelt anymore? Probably not. It's not going to be very well furred anymore. So you're going to have a bad quality pelt, and the market is competitive. You are competing with other fur farms. You need to have a good product or it's not going to sell. Doesn't matter how pretty it was if you ruin it. So that's that. Number 6, death is pretty quick. It's a lot quicker to kill them. It takes seconds. Unless you're doing something really wrong, it literally takes seconds. Whether that's you're using a knockout method and then electrocution, knockout method, and then slitting the throat, knockout or gassing. Gassing is another common one, especially with like mink and such. Lethal injection, a shot to the head. There's a reason that these methods are approved is because they're quick, and if they're quick, they're considered humane. So that passes humane standards. And this goes for any facility that deals with animals, just so you know, not just fur farms, but also like your veterinarian. It needs to be quick in order to be considered humane. Oh, and hey, if it's quick, that means you're done with it really quick too. It takes seconds to kill an animal. Again, I raised meat animals. I've done it. It should be very fast. So why would you not spend the 2-3 seconds killing an animal as opposed to spending a lot longer fighting a live one? You know, like the person on my TikTok video said, oh yeah, they put muzzles on them. Okay, you've got a muzzle on it, it's still squirming, and you have to fight to put the muzzle on it. You know, like a fox doesn't want to put a muzzle on. When you've got something like a mink, which have really, really sharp teeth, and they're really stupid fast, and they're slippery, you're not going to get a muzzle on a mink. Good luck. Their snouts are pretty short there, and I don't think they make muzzles that small unless you make them yourself. So it's a lot quicker to just kill them. You know, sounds bad, I know, but it's facts. And finally, number 7, the person that was telling me that they know a fur farm or they saw a fur farm that did skin alive, they said that, oh yeah, they sedate them. So you're telling me they're gonna get the licensing and pay the money for sedation drugs, but they're not gonna get the money and pay for just euthanasia drugs? These are both classified drugs. They're both restricted drugs that not everyone can get. You have to get special permits and licensing in order to buy them, nevertheless administer them, and you have to know what you're doing. You're gonna really pay more money for restraint methods instead of just paying the same money to just kill them, or even less money to just kill them? Where's the logic? If you're running a fur farm as a business, why are you gonna pay more money to make things harder for yourself and be cruel for no reason? There's no good reason for that. I can't think of why anyone would do that, again, unless they have some unresolved mental problems that they need professional help for. So, if this doesn't convince you that animals aren't skinned alive, quite frankly, you're a lost cause, all right? I've skinned animals myself. I raised meat rabbits, and where the fur and the meat would get used. I can't see any reason why anyone would do this way. I follow fur farmers over on social media. I've got one friend who goes out to fur farms and helps them when it is pelting season. I haven't talked to them super much about it, but I know that they've got some insight on how that works. And there's literally no reason to skin an animal alive. I'm sorry, but there isn't. There's plenty of reasons not to, and there's no good reason to do it. So if you're still stuck on the, oh no, I swear guys, they're skinned alive, if you see it, report it, okay? find out the proper authorities for where that person is located, contact them, give them that farm's information, give them that individual's personal information. Say, if you have evidence like a video, send that to the authorities. Please send that to authorities. Get them shut down. We should not accept animal cruelty for any reason. I don't care if you're pro or anti-fur. Don't accept it. So if you know somebody who's being cruel to animals, stop it. And if you don't know anyone who's doing it, it's because it's probably not happening. Just the facts. Anyway, hope y'all are having a good day. Sorry for the ranty, long video. And hope you get to enjoy the snow. It's finally snowing here in Nevada. It took long enough. It's January. Okay, I'm gonna end the video. Bye, y'all.